The other thing to note is that this event is being recorded, so it will be available afterwards, and we're assuming your consent just by virtue of you being online. It'll be available on the Guyana Speaks Facebook page afterwards, and it will also be available on YouTube. The other thing I just want to mention before we go on is that next month we have an event called the Art of Oral Storytelling, which is going to involve Eugene Williams, Henry Mutu. We hope Mark Matthews. We haven't been able to get hold of him yet, but we hope Mark Matthews. And yeah, so we'll finalize that program later on. And then also in May, we've got a program that looks at how Guyanese heritage kind of shapes the way people work. And so we have Dr. Jim Takradin and also his daughter Jane, who's an artist. And then in June, at the end of June, we also have a program called The Other Windrush, which looks at the Indo-Caribbean community, primarily because whenever we talk about Windrush, it tends to focus on the African Caribbean community. So we'll have people like Maria Del Pilar Caladine, David Daberdeen, Mr. G, Gordon Warnock, trying to think who else, but yeah, a few people will be joining that. So I hope you'll be able to come to those events. Today's event is going to be hosted primarily by Michelle, but I'll be there whenever Michelle needs or draws us in. But yeah, as Michelle is the editor, I'm going to invite her to introduce the book. And also just to introduce a bit about yourself, please, Michelle, and some of the contributors that we're going to have today. So over to you, Michelle. Thank you.
Okay, greetings, everyone, again. And I'm honored to be partly hosting this Guyana Speaks event in search of Mami Wata, with Guyana Speaks, Juanita and Rod in the background somewhere, I'm hoping. So yeah, a bit about this book. I think I need to do that in the context of sharing the screen. So I'll do that now. Just bear with me while I just get that organized, please. All right, so here we go. And I'll try and block these meeting control panels, which just always come up. Yeah, but as soon as somebody comes into the room, because I'm also a co-host, that black box will just come up. I can't do anything about that. It should disappear soon enough.
Michelle, can you also just say something about your background as a publisher? Like, what is the process of publishing? How do you go about producing something like this?
Yeah, hold on, bear with me a minute. I will do. I'm just trying to
I know, get the screen up and
get the screen right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I come to that though somewhere along the line in the process. So I'll do that. I just wanted to get this up, but because I don't want to optimize it, I want to be able to see you guys. Right, that's better. I couldn't see everybody. I could just see the screen, and sometimes that's a bit disconcerting. All right, so Juanita, thank you again. And actually, can we just play this tune?
Yeah, go for it.
So we're just gonna, before I launch into it, and whilst people are still coming in, because I can see that movement of people still coming in, I'm gonna play this clip and a couple of others that will hopefully help me to tell you how this project even came into being. So think of this as if we were in a different space. This would be the libation, this would be the prayer, this would be just that moment of gathering our thoughts and readying ourselves for what we're about to experience. But I love this tune. And I hope that you will too. It's just a gentle Mami Wata melody.
Gata
So Mami Wata, in that context, when I listen to that, that taps into the child in me. It taps into the a memory that I don't even know particularly the memory, but it's something subconscious. So I love that. And it takes us into this magical moment that we're about to really experience. But of course, there is the magic, and then there's the reality, which I'm hoping you'll be able to see from these next clips, which are my traveling along the Pomeroon in 2017, which I think might be when the idea to do this book, or at least Mami Wata, or Wata Mama, as we call her in Guyana, started to really communicate with me about doing something more formidable to honor. Okay, and we'll keep going.
I'm going to start one last.
There's an inhalation that happens there, and I don't know whether it was like tears. It feels as though I was just like overwhelmed by the sheer, I mean, and as you can see, the people that we're with on this trip, just overwhelmed by the magnificence of this waterscape that we had ventured into. So for those of us who are in Guyana, outside of Guyana, wherever we are, if we are ever able to venture out of the towns and get into the remote areas at any point in our time when we venture there, we need to do this to appreciate really Guyana, to appreciate the planet, to appreciate Water Mama and why that force is so important for us.
Michelle, can I just do a shout out for Rod? Because I noticed that boat was Adele's resort.
All right, yeah, okay, do it.
Just to say to everybody online, if you ever want to go there, you just need to contact Rod, because his mother owns Adele's resort, and the boat Michelle was on going there was one of the boats that took her into, I believe that looked like going towards Wakapau, but yeah.
Absolutely, wow. Thank you. Yeah, that was it. And we did indeed, which I'll come to in the next one, I think, end up at Adele's resort, where that is exactly where that experience that I had. But this is to show you that these big trees and, you know, the mangroves that we were traveling along is captured in a likeness in this image, which is by an artist who is from Puerto Rico. He's Afro-Puerto Rican. Just to say that in Guyana, we tend to take a lot of our beauty, our nature, our lives for granted. But in other places, they of course don't. They very much, well, they tend not to as much, and they celebrate it. So this is actually an image of Osain, and Osain, who is the deity of medicine and trees and so on, retransplanted in this image into the Caribbean space from its origin as a deity in Yoruba tradition in Nigeria. And this is the painting of it. This is the model of it. And it's actually a big sculpture in a park in Puerto Rico. But this repeating little blip that you see of me is actually me at Adele's resort, the little pool that they had there. It wasn't a pool. I was told that you could go and swim. And yeah, you can go swim. Nobody else wanted to go into this water, and for good reason, right? I was the only one that thought, yeah, I'm gonna go into the water, literally the only one from that boat. And I jumped in, and it was just beautiful, but I started to, because the current is so strong, wander off into non-entity, into wherever I was going, and I could feel that pull and that power and that force of the water. So I was obviously trying to get back. This was literally me trying to get back. I did eventually get back, but I heard a small voice, or a big voice, if you like, saying, what the hell are you doing, kind of thing. But actually it was gentler than that. It said, you must be careful. In other words, you must really honor this water and reverence it. It's not something that you can simply just jump in and, you know, it can take you away. So be careful of it. And this is when I think I first really started to own my connection with Mami Wata, or Wata Mama, Blackie Wata Mama, as we call her in Guyana. And so, yeah, so this moment, I would say, is a birthing experience that I was having. So coming to myself as the publishing, it will come in a minute, Juanita, don't worry. I wanted to get through these bits. So yeah, so in terms of Blackie Mami Wata, this gentleman here, furthest on to your right, is Baba Menez de Griot, who is Guyanese and who is a cultural advocate. He's a drummer. He is you know, he's a kwekwe performer, but actually a giver of the kwekwe ceremonies. And he is here with the next spiritual mentor of mine, who is Professor James Small. And he contributed a little blurb on the inside jacket of the book, where he was identifying, making the links between the Orisha, or Mami Oshun, which is from Yoruba tradition, with our version, Blackie Wata Mama. And I'd never really heard it framed like that before, until I started having a good relationship, a spiritual mentoring relationship with Baba. And he's so well informed about Guyana's traditions and so on. He's actually a student of Auntie Doris, who is on the call. And so I just wanted to put that here, where he talks about the healing power and the healing force of the water. And we have, of course, Dr. Kimani Nehusi, who also lent an endorsement to the publication, once more making that link and that connection for us to understand why we honor the water. It's not simply something that we're doing out of air or out of some kind of superstition or fantasy. It really connects with the primordial essence of water, from whence we all emerged into manifestation. You know, we all started from water. So we need to just kind of honor water as we'll go along and see how we've been doing. So I just wanted to just put that in. In ancient Egypt, for example, we call, there's a deity to the water, or the primordial water, which is Nu or Noon. They always have pairings in these traditions. So you have a male aspect and you have a female aspect, or a feminine, masculine aspect, because we know nothing of creation can manifest without that pairing. And so, you know, likewise in the Yoruba tradition, we have Yimanja or Yimanka, and which expresses as female or feminine. And when you look at it in terms of water, it's that initial frothing, that part that you can see, obviously, when you go to a large body of water. But the Olokun part is the depth, the bit that you can't see beneath. But if we want to think about that more metaphysically, it might be likened to your subconscious. which I talk about in the introduction to this publication. Anyway, so here's me. So in terms of me, Michelle Yaa Asantewa, after I came back from that Guyana experience in 2017, I decided to do this photo shoot in honor of Mami Wata. And I was blessed, I am blessed to have a best friend who is a makeup artist, and also she designs, I don't think she really likes the designing the costumes part, but that's what she is very, very much capable of doing. So we agreed that we were going to do this photo shoot, and there I am. My mom, who is also very much a water mama herself, she is there enjoying the experience of celebrating her. Now, these two images are taken at the same time, but you can see the difference. When I spoke before about the depth, the deep bit of the subconscious mind and the power, or that force that I felt when I was in the Pomeroon, I feel that this is expressed in the center image, where I am not necessarily posing, even though it looks like a pose, certainly not for my face. My face just took on this expression of that force and that power. Whereas on the other one, it's that lighter, more the Oshun style, you know, loving, gentle, you know, yes, you can come and I can soothe you, you know, impression. And this is just to show you the bit where it's the contributors to the publication. I mean, it could be clearer, I know that, but it's just to show there are an enormous amount of people who were ready to contribute to the publication. And this is here you're saying that you can get now. And Juanita asked me about the publishing and how, you know, I got into that. Well, I think what you were mostly meaning was how this also came about. But the publishing for me, it's been important for me always to try to speak to the voices that are, or try to bring to the front voices that are otherwise relegated to non-entity. You're not aware that they even exist, whether that is voiced by literal voice as in the word, or whether that is voiced by through their art. Through something that they create, but we don't get to see because, you know, other publishers, large publishers, don't accept the types of things that we might be interested in celebrating, we might be interested in writing. So I started to write my own books and publish my own books from that basis. And then it was never really intended to be just for my own work, but I wanted to be able to do that for others as well. And so this particular work is the first anthology that I've done. And it was really important to try to get as many of those voices as possible. Most of them have never had anything in print or published in this way. So that for me was a real triumph. And it's always about that. It's always about letting us hear the unheard voices. And these are just some of the other books that I've done over the past since 2014, which was Elijah, that first one, and Something Buried in the Yard. And of course, these also speak to the cultures that I can identify with, and which again, some people might not find necessarily, some publishers might not find interesting to publish. So I'm like, well, I find it interesting, and I know other people will find it interesting. So I'm going to try and do that. Something Buried in the Yard is something that a lot of us as Guyanese, or even Caribbean, or Africans, Black people, whatever, can identify with this kind of phrasing in this term. Guyanese come from, most of you who I recognize at least, are aware that that is my PhD, and Guyanese comfort comes out of the Wata Mama tradition as well. So I was slowly journeying towards where I am, and I think where I'll keep going by studying this tradition. I hope that answers Juanita's missive. This is Scott. And Scott, are you ready? Because I'm going to kindly ask you to begin the readings from your contribution. Scott Tinga-Key was one of the first, well, he's the first outside of me publication that we have done, which is here, Red Hibiscus. Really proud of this beautiful tale. So you can look up on our website for that if you haven't already seen it. And I'm really proud to announce that Scott was longlisted for this award some weeks ago. They've actually now selected those who are shortlisted. And although Scott wasn't on that, we know he is our brilliant new voice of Guyanese Caribbean poetry, and especially focusing on the Chinese in the Caribbean, the Chinese in Guyana. So I'm really proud that Scott was one of the first people to offer a contribution to the Mami Wata publication. So Scott, it's over to you, please, to read your poem.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor being here. Before I go into the reading, I'd just like to mention a few things. One, I love the video with you going along the Pomeroon and the mangroves because it reminded me about a poem that I teach the sixth formers by Mark McWatt named Benediction. And in that poem, he produces some beautiful imagery describing the mangroves and the roots as fingers dipping into the rivers. And, you know, seeing the images just really brought all those wonderful lines of poetry to my mind. So I shout out there to Mark McWatt. I really look up to him and Wilson Harris. The other thing is, too, in terms of Confa and trans, I attended a Zoom session, I think last month. No, February month, because it was for Chinese New Year's, hosted by the Chinese American Museum in Los Angeles. And one of the presenters, who is Chinese American, but he is an anthropologist and a sociologist by training. And one of his areas of research in terms of his PhD is the Afro-Chinese connection in Cuba, where they have a lot of these hybrid religions, these syncretized religions that actually combine elements of Buddhism with African folk religions. And I found that so amazing because he was showing parallels between Orishas and different forms of Buddha and how they're practiced within that Afro-Chinese context in Cuba. And he also showed how there's a form of shamanism in China which focuses on trance and the trance tradition as well. And he linked it to that in that. So I found that very interesting. So yeah, just wanted to let you know that there is a very strong connection between these cultures within the aspect that I wasn't aware of before I saw that presentation. All right, so I'm gonna go into my little reading now. It's a poem named God Essence. What you're gonna find is the title looks odd. You have God, and then you have the word goddess within it, then you have God Essence. Now, this piece not only will focus on the male deities, as in gods, but it will also pay homage to female deities, as in the goddess. So this idea of the balance between the god and the goddess. And then essentially, it's going to show you how their engagement and our engagement with nature is the entire essence of life. That's the thought process that went into the title. So let me get into it now. Blessing the shores with a holy touch, to chastise, cleanse, and purge, nurture, bless, and create. Then returning to your watery bliss. Olokun in the deep lies in waiting, always searching for more wisdom, more life, more secrets. Secrets to bless and curse, down in the murky dark, hiding the greatest majesty of the water kingdom and preserving the most dangerous creatures in his. He will rise from his miry throne, some scorned by his wisdom, some blessed, all swallowed by his mystery. Olokun, the dread, watery graves for the foolish, with boats drunken on greed. Oshun kisses the shores, intoxicatingly sweet to entreat, lovers and followers with oars, calling with perfumed breeze. A ceaseless series of voluptuous ripples, her curvaceous body, men swoon, women yearn to emulate. Her warmth drawing in, filling the gourd, calming a cold soul. Embrace us in wet kisses. Oshun, the calm surface that shrouds Olokun of the dreaded deep. Her surfaces have been defiled by industry, poisoned by greedy men of the land. These sweetest smelling flowers can be poisonous. It is her time to stand. Olokun has stirred the most intimate depths of her bowels. She will come, the river adder, poised to strike. Can a woman forget her suckling child? That she should not have compassion on the child of her womb? Yemoja is not deafened by the thundering, drilling, whizzing, hammering, clamoring, pouring, smoking, and banging of the colossal machine gods who rule the industrial world. Her children have died, suffocated in rivers, poisoned by strange chemicals on the land used for mining, for gold, for glory. Glory, glory, glory. Machines will rust and be put asunder. Infant gods who cannot compete, the primordial mother. She suffers, her loss is great. Her grief is greater, her anger is greater than Ganju's mightiest volcano. She has been violated, her children raped and killed. She will ascend to the land. No volcano or machine will stop her retaliation. Rivers and oceans, seas and streams, raging, polluted, utterly transformed. Olokun, Oshun, Yemoja, goddesses of life and death. Their fury that makes Oya a dove. Strongest warriors are forged when meekness is provoked. Thank you. That's it for my reading.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was absolutely amazing because, of course, that's the first time I'm hearing you read that. It's been with me for so long now, and that was absolutely a treat to hear. And the environmentalism of it, I hope we'll be able to get to. Because again, that is something that is so important, and I'm glad you took that angle, as did I with my contribution that comes later. Yeah, so thank you so much, and thank you for making the connections with the paper that you got to see. Sorry, I've gone a bit too fast. Okay, yeah. So Juanita had, or Guyana Speaks had an introduction slide when we came on. I think it was this one, wasn't it, Juanita? Yeah, because Dudley Charles, like, he is just phenomenal. And his work, as Juanita and I have spoken about, needs to be celebrated, and he needs to have his own session that we can celebrate and see, which was the intention, I believe, today. But I don't know. I don't know the things behind it, but I know that perhaps Mami Wata had something to do with it. And this image, which he called Deep Water Spirit, was the first when I put out the call for submissions to the publication. This was the first that was submitted by Dudley Charles. I think it was, Juanita, you can remember the date of it? It was 1970. You have to keep going to the book to remember, but it was 1976 or something.
I think so. Let me just double check it.
You check in that publication.
It's 1985 that he did the painting.
All right, okay. I don't know why I have the 70s rocking around in my brain.
Yeah, 1985.
But anyway, if you can, because Guyana has produced the most phenomenal artists, in my humble view, and Dudley is one of those. I mean, literally is very humble himself, and reason perhaps why he's not here. And I have tried to make other communications with him to get him on board. But I just want you to know this this artist of ours as Guyanese, and to look him up, look up some of his other works and see just exactly what we mean by that. So yeah, so thank you, Dudley, wherever you are.
I'm gonna try and get him again for the session in May.
Okay, that would be phenomenal.
So we'll see.
Okay. Oh, and Auntie Joyce. Hello, Auntie Joyce. So Auntie Joyce Trotman, I was very much nearly completion of the publication, and all the contributors were in, and I cannot quite say, somebody's just scratching over the thing, Winnie. I don't know how we stopped that. Actually, it will stay there now, that mark, for the rest of them, I think. But somehow, I can't recall how, this this book called The Fair Maid Comb, story called The Fair Maid Comb, which was published in Caribbean Folktales and Legend by, that was published by Bogle Overture in 1980. Auntie Joyce had a, she had put that in there, and I was absolutely blown away and thought, well, we needed to include this because obviously it would be retro, but very much introspective and valid. What I thought we could ask Auntie Joyce Trotman to do is not necessarily read, but she has a backstory that I would very much like her to share about how she came to this story. Auntie Joyce, can you do that for us?
Yes, I can. Are you hearing me?
Very well.
Yeah. Clear.
Well, when I was a little girl, I was going to Kingston Methodist School. And I was sort of always like the youngest in the class. All these big girls, I was doing scholarship class, and this girl would be like school leaving, older, slightly older. I would be like 10, 11, and she might be 13, 14. And I had a long way to go home. She lived on Waterloo Street, and I lived further to South Georgetown. And as we were walking along going home, her name was Eula Carter. And as we were walking along going home, Eula kept told me this story. I could have been about 10, 11. And it was about how this man got all this plenty money, she said. And that he was going home from, there was when somebody died and he went to the place, they call it a dead house. So he went to see these people maybe on the East Coast, let us say Pleasance or Buxton or what, around villages. And he got by the coker, there's always the coker. And by the time, and it was a moonlight night. It always, because you use the moon at light, it gives you the light. No rural electrification, so you depend on the moon. And as he got by this coker, he heard boom, and this woman jumped into the water. But in the process, she was combing her hair, and when she jumped into the water, she dropped her comb, and it was sort of glittering in the moonlight. So he picked it up and took it home. And the following night, he heard this person knocking on his door and crying and saying, I want my comb back. Could you give me my comb? And he brought a lot of money, left a lot of money. And he's living in this little lodge in the village. And there's a whole lot of money. And he collected it, but he didn't say anything. He could hear her going down the steps. And this went on for about 2, 3, 4 nights. Well, he got scared. He's getting all this money, and this woman is leaving it and then going away. And he did not know what to do. So there's always a wise woman in the village. So he went to her and told her his story in confidence, because he couldn't tell anybody else. And the advice she gave him was to get a mukru basket. In those days, there was it was like a tree. You can get the bark. It was the bark of this tree that you can cut in strips and make a basket, and it was called mukru. So you will have so the strips would have the spaces in between. So she told him to give her a mukru basket and tell her to go and bail out the sea. So she left the money and he gave her the basket, and she went away and didn't come back. And everybody in the village saw Mr. Wilkie now with plenty money. He buying a better house, a better whatever. And they couldn't understand how he came by all this money, but he was very wealthy. And if you know what became of the fair maid, she's still bailing out the sea. And that was a story that Eula Carter told me. I went home and told it to my mother. And every time if money was short, I would say, I wish we could have a fair maid comb, then we could get some money. And that's all I know about her. But we always talked about fair maids because my sister said that one night an older member, my mother's friend, was taking her out. She was only about 5 or 6. And she saw this object with a tail going up the stairs of the St. George's Anglican Church, but the lady pulled her away as if to prevent her from seeing any further. And she said she was never sure if it was really something that she saw or it was really true. And then in preparation for this, I rang my friend Elif, who grew up in West Coast Demerara, village. And she said that there is a proverb that says, if in a cross bridge, no cost water mama. Well, I have proverb, but I'd never heard this one. If in a cross bridge, no cost water mama. And I asked her for the meaning, and she said, the water mama, it lives in the water, and she has got the experience. And if you have a problem, which is a bridge to cross, she would be the one who would have all the give you necessary help in case you need it. So don't curse her before you cross the bridge. And that's what I got from Elif. Then I rang my friend Urani, who grew up in Pleasance. And I was interested in Scott's poem because she said that they were always told that she needed pure water, pure black water in the backlands of the estate, the sugar estate. The water always had to be pure. And so if it wasn't, then it wasn't good for her. And she'd always be combing her hair. And she was very private. So if she saw anybody coming, she would jump into the water because she wanted privacy. She would never want anybody to see her. And Elif said that if she let you see her, then it was like a blessing or like a good sign for you to have seen her, for her to have let you see her, because it wasn't a normal thing for her to do. And so that is what I collected on the way. That's all I can share now. But I wish everybody can get a fair maid comb so that we can all get rich.
Oh, thank you so much, Auntie Joyce. Thank you. That's like, I mean,
if you cross water, no cost water, mama.
Yes, I have heard of that proverb, but also the ones where when you do cross water, when you are on the water, we pay the river for that protection. We would point in. In fact, the other day, someone sent me, or they were trying to call me to tell me this bit about where they have somebody who is very, very much a Christian, so would feel this is antithetical to their experiences and what they believe in. But when they were younger, oh my God, Dudley Charles has entered the room. I cannot believe it. It's amazing. To bring them through, I need to just shut up.
Hey.
From whatever I was trying to say. And let's find Dudley, Juanita, please. Can you find him? Because I literally just saw that and I need to find him now. I'm hunting for him. Somebody please find Dudley whilst I was saying that, yeah. And so what they were saying is that every time they were crossing the water, their purse would open and money would fall out. And but I said, well, that's probably because you were expected to pay, but they never pay. They just kept allowing this thing to happen just sort of organically, not realizing that it's something that they're being required to do. So thank you, Auntie Joyce, for that.
Yeah, I really was taken with the fact that she had to be in pure water, and to find Scott sort of doing the same thing, that this pure water is now being polluted by all these people who are mining for gold.
Exactly.
So maybe she isn't there anymore, or they're poisoning her out or something.
No, well the thing is when
we're not talking about favorite anymore.
The thing is, well, yeah, there's some of that. We could do a whole thing on that fact and that reality, because my mum speaks about the same thing where they blocked up the cokers and they
the cokers and the cokers are blocked up now. Yeah,
right. Yes. And that's because there's not a reverence for the water as there ought to be, which is one of the things I'm trying to get to as we go along. I
am glad about the reverence, because when you would have told me the story, as far as I was concerned, it was just a story. I didn't know all these I'm so pleased and amazed at all the connections that this story had.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Auntie.
Yeah, it was just a story, but it isn't just a story because it's got so much more to it.
More to it, as I will show.
And we need to acknowledge that and tell our children about it.
Absolutely. Did we find Dudley, by the way?
He's dropped off again.
Oh my word. Anyway, well, I got excited and I know that he's trying. Yeah, Mami Wata is pulling him in. So this is the Caribbean folktales and legends. This equally is another story that I could go into. But just to say that there is another Wata Mama story in the publication. That by that I mean this first publication, Caribbean folktales and legend, which I have also was given permission to republish in the Mami Wata book by Uncle Eric Huntley, who is not here for some reason. I thought he was going to be. And this is by Ralph Prince. And this is another wonderful story. And again, speaks like what Auntie Joyce was just talking about, the moon, you know, the full moon as we're in now, the full moon. And the way that it's this kind of calls to mind the Mami Wata energies, and it's the time when she would, you know, kind of call her children or her lovers, lover, if you like. And this gentleman in this story was one such that was called by her, and he fell in love with her, and then. Yeah, well, then you've got to get the book to read the story, or at least get Caribbean Folktales, which is still available, I believe, to read the story as well. So that's this particular version of a story where the Wata Mama or the fair maid seduces men is very familiar as well, for different reasons, and I think I've heard not lots, but I have heard people speak about that experience and not quite knowing what to do with it. I mean, I think I'd have to do a whole workshop on my interpretation of perhaps what they should do with it. Juanita. So Juanita, who's very sweetly sitting there.
Suddenly like,
Juanita and I had an exchange that, you know, the funny thing is we think we're having these just random conversations or communications, don't we? You're just like, we're just talking about Wata Mama, Mami Wata, and so. And this was I need to correct me, but the first time I think we spoke about Mami Wata together was when we were at the Yari Yari conference in Ghana, right? Do you remember?
It was, and actually I read to you the poem that I'm going to read today, which is the poem you published in your book.
Sorry, I'm going back. I'm going too fast.
Yeah.
Yes, I could. Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah. So if I can be cheeky, I'd like to read two poems actually.
No,
so,
that's great.
So I'm going to read the first poem. I'm going to read. I'll explain sort of the background to it, just so that you understand the context of it. Essentially, I guess it's important for people to appreciate that I was born in Nigeria, and I spent my childhood there. My parents were working in Nigeria, and they were there for many years. And of course, I grew up with Mami Wata, you know, being very much a part of the lives of people around me. And so you may then recall that after 9/11 happened, there was this really awful incident that happened in London, where a young boy that the police are now calling Adam had been an unidentified boy. His torso was found in the River Thames. So that was on the 21st of September in 2001. And the investigation essentially led the police to Edo State in Nigeria. And they had concluded that it was a what they call a muti, ritual sacrifice. And of course, to date, no one's been charged, but I was just horrified by it. And it really, really moved me, particularly in the sense that this was something that his body had been put in the Thames. And of course, I'd always seen Mami Wata very much as this kind of protector. And so I don't know, the whole thing was very jarring for me. So that's the poem is essentially about him, and it's a kind of elegy to his life. Yeah, so I'll just read that one first. And it's called I See Myself in You. Torso. I want to let you run through bougainvillea and chirp to the song of crickets, to climb the guava tree and curl your toes into dusty red earth as soldier ants convoy past, and butterflies dart in the heady humid air of spectacular yellow cockatoo, purple hibiscus and cooking pot stew. But my stomach balks at the taste of mendacity and the disquieting dismemberment of you. Drained like my mother's clay pot, I was dry of blood, discovered in the River Thames as bobbing sodden tor, bereft of bearings or bushes. They called me Afro-Caribbean. I could have been. We share a limbo dance and more. They later thought 7 half candles and a sheet to the waves tied me to the crude blue ilk of Adekoyi Adeoye, but it did not. For he, the Honorable Fola, was found drumming rhapsodic reprieve from the twin tower eclipse of shock and awe. My fate, until they found me 10 days later, was a lonely grave by the south bank of Tower Bridge and Globe Theatre. No mother of comfort to weep my departure, no heat reflected off cracked asphalt or burnt amber roads to warm my watery tomb, no fresh sticky scent of squeezed ripe mango, or the pound of fufu to entice and guide me on my way. Not even 2 minutes of silence. What kind of Mami Wata was called upon by my guardians, murdering cohort of 3, to spin me up and down through sewage-ridden waves, the color of fireless coal in the deep, deep sleep of night? How could she name me Pomusa? What lies, what irony, Ogun, I swear my spirit will haunt her. And you, Bawa Juju, I watched your face. Trusting, I drank of the cup and ate of the bread. With the curiosity of an innocent child peering into the narrow neck of a large earthenware pot, I stared into the pit of your eyes without knowing. Their dark, hollow expanse would soon be pouring with the sweat of soaring exertion. I did not know. My frothing, gulping scream would not echo, could not echo, could not even sound. Poisoned and paralyzed, my terror stood blank in the light of an impotent moon. The tongues that bubbled incantations and shadows that danced among the splashes of potent ogogoro, scented oils, seashells, and breath-blown chalk dust. Corn, candlesticks, and fleeing bright, bright powders. The baffled and inquisitive settled for Adam. And perhaps I am a beginning without end. My beckoning trunks of orange, the slight codpiece of dignity, sewn with wool for what it's worth, it needles back without point from a bed of shopping trolleys, urban waste, and garbage-ridden silt to a branch of my trafficked existence in Hamburg, the riddled colon of plant extract, toxic calabar bean and clay with flecks of pure, pure gold, testifying to my origins in Edo State. I was a small child, a boy of 5, maybe 6 years old. Some say you are Patrick Eboro, but how can anyone be sure? Bawa Juju, you accused me of witchcraft, fatal punishment for a word I did not even understand. I should feel pity for your worthless soul. Instead, I rage. You stole from me. Forest, elephant, pale-fronted Negro finch, hyena, bush baby, yellow-throated cuckoo, cuckoo, and red river hog, drowned in your insatiable greed. Or were they eaten by the fishermen who did not care for my dreams of eba and egusi soup, boiled yam and ogbono, and my grandmother's owoori? For there is no smoked fish in the river Thames, only leaves of bitter tricks. But limbo is not forever. I am a Higbe. I am Olokun. I, Bawajuju, will find you. So thank you. That's the end of that one.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much for that.
The other one, have I got it somewhere? Let me just bring it up. Yeah, so the other one, funnily enough, is actually a poem I wrote for Rod. And I think some of you may have heard it before, but it's actually, you know, Rod and I used to live next to Adele's resort. So on that river that you were showing us earlier, Michelle, and the river that you were swimming in is called the Akawini Creek, and it's very dark. So I was always, you know, fascinated by the sort of mysteries of this dark, beautiful water. And meanwhile, Rod and I lived just across the river, but we didn't have, at the time, we were trying to renovate a property. So we didn't have running water and we didn't have lights. So at night in the Pomeroon, when it goes dark, it's like pitch black. There's just no light. And so this was a poem that I wrote for him. So on those nights when the moon reveals nothing but a thin, crooked smile, and my eyes, opened or closed, see nothing but a bed of blackness, the cool sheets of my bed tip me gently into the cooling black waters of the Akawini Creek. And as I float down, little friendly fish nip at my skin. And water getting cold like crab dog's nose. Water, water, you got water here? Berbice, West Coast, come by, you know, scalefish here, one for $100. The ungodly darkness delights. Water running over my naked skin and I sinking deeper. Legs entangled with slippery reeds and lotus flower. Water mama asks, is what you doing? Come let me comb your hair. A black beetle crashes into the side of my face, jolts me awake. My body drenched by the swelter of the night and I itching bad. Mr. Loverman tightens his grasp, his long arms protective. Nothing disturbs his sleep. I sigh, he snores gently. Thank you.
Thank you, Juanita. And it's wonderful hearing you read from your poems, which we don't get to hear often enough. So that's a real treat for us who have been coming to Guyana Speaks so often, because you're always presenting. We don't get to hear that side. And your beautiful appreciation, obviously, for the Guyana landscape. And you and Rod have so many stories to tell about the different aspects, the different areas, especially in the interior, about Guyana. So I really appreciate that sharing. Now, the picture that you can see, or the painting, is by a brother called Duke Yeboah, who I absolutely love this painting. And it's just to give you an idea of the quality of contributions that we have. This is him here playing on the Kemetic tradition, as well as the Akwaaba of Ghana, and of course the Yoruba. So he's merging, doing a kind of a Pan-African treatment, if you like, of Mami Wata. Juanita, I've just seen Dudley enter again, so maybe we can try and find him. But in the meantime, Liz, are you around? Liz Dean Hughes. It would be great if you could tell us about the next couple of images and your take, because the little blip of me, or clip of me swimming, when I saw these swimming, okay, when I saw these images, it very much reminded me of the feel that I have for Mami Wata. They kind of resonated with me from that perspective. So I wanted Liz to share her ideas with us. I mean, you can see a little bit here, but if she could come on, don't know where she is. Just looking for her through the. Liz, are you here? She was here, wasn't she, Juanita?
She was here.
Yeah, but I know that she was saying when we did the launch a couple of weeks ago that this particular one was along the Linden Highway, Juanita, can you remember?
Yeah, I think that's what she said. Let me just see. I think she's under Miss P,
something else
like that.
Yeah, and so this is a photograph, by the way. And she said that when she's doing her wanderings or whatever, this image, of a woman, kind of is what comes up. So she was able to capture it in her photography. There is, and you can see what she's saying here, that the source of her inspiration comes from living in the environs of mighty Amazon jungle. I'm fascinated by the play of light, shadows, and colors found within the natural environment. And this playfulness found on the surface of the earth, on the leaves, and reflected off the water inspires her to use and discover techniques which I hope can honor nature's way of layering different elements on each other. And these photographs are inspired by the reflection of nature on various bodies of water, rivers, creeks, puddles, and of course the sea. And as we can see from absolutely these, can you imagine just seeing these as somebody who is just so immersed in the beauty of nature and what it is able to reflect to you, because you have that sense of connection to it. And I think that it renders for us all the opportunity and the responsibility, if you like, to own our own individual power and connection with nature, so that she can communicate with us in this magnificent way that she's clearly doing with Liz. And I love these images by her. These three are actually included in the publication. Maybe when she comes on a bit later, or she's probably here somewhere, but I just haven't seen her. Now, just to say, whilst I'm here as well, is that we did manage to get copies of this book. There are only not too many, but we managed to send some to Guyana. And so there will be or they should be in Austin's bookshop. However, I do bid you that if you are in Guyana or know anyone in Guyana that wants to get a copy of the book, to just ring up Austin and just keep badgering them, because what happens is when you send the publication, as I'm obviously independent, when you send the publications with your family member, they don't know who your family are. And it's just a back and forth, because usually I have to physically be there for them to take it seriously. Like, look, this book, people will buy them, just can you stock them in your shop? But when I send them with somebody, a go-between or an in-between, there seems to be some problem. And I think that if you phone them and say, have you got copies of In Search of Mami Wata, they will then get the message. So this is a kind of advocacy moment for you guys. But let's move on, because we haven't found Liz. And just in terms of moving on, I obviously wanted you to know that outside of the Guyanese contributors, we have these wonderful images by, contributors, artists from America, from, the Caribbean, from, so many different parts of the world. It was fully international, which I wanted it to be. I love their impressions and their different takes on Mami Wata. For example, this one here, As the Goddess Next Door, is just so striking and so beautiful, speaking to the fact that, we are living beside people or next door to people or energies or entities who have, who appear ordinary, but who have this energy and this power within them. And we just, and when they, like Mami Wata, just appears before you and declare their presence, it is breathtaking. The one on the Pisces moon one, we see a KT who has done her take from a cosmic perspective of Oshun, the river deity from Yoruba, or sisters really, and Yimaya or Yimanja, the water, the sea deity. Now, Juanita, did you manage to find Dudley?
Actually, Dingen was very kindly trying to get hold of him. Let me just double check if he's actually online now. I did see him online, but yeah, I can see him online. Dudley, if you're online, can you unmute yourself and just say hello so we know you're there? It's really weird, Michelle, because when I look on the participants list, I can see he's online and it's got the video, but it doesn't have the mute button. So I don't know if that means that he's, oh, there he is. I think he's going to join us now. Dudley, are you joining us?
If the mute icon isn't there, it means that there's some issue with their internet, so their audio cannot connect.
Oh,
So usually when that happens in class, it means that the student can see me, but they can't hear me, and similarly, I can't hear them.
Oh, no.
So
Oh, what a shame.
you should probably text him. Send him a message in the chat to explain to him.
Okay.
And usually when we check out what's happening, because remember it's Guyana, when we check out what's happening, it's because of slowed internet connection on whichever part they're from.
Okay. Well, I know
it's connected now. The icon is up now. So you should be able to hear us now.
Helping him, yeah.
I see. Great.
He's actually in the US anyway, so I'm not saying that they won't be having the internet.
Oh, okay, great.
He's not in Guyana. He's in, and this is just to show you another impression here by Carol Henry Alexander, and we also have her husband, which was the other really beautiful thing about the publication. We have like families who were contributing. So this was one example, but we also had a young brother and his sister who both contributed. I mean, and it's very unusual for them both to be like, yeah, I'll take yours. And, the other one could have been really bad. And then I would have to like go, oh, I can't take your sister's. But in that case, both of them are really good. So it was brilliant. So they're included. And actually this picture here is of another family, actually. So this is Nicole Rochelle Moore and her son, Marley Moore. The painting is Marley's, and the poem that it accompanies is Nicole Rochelle Moore, with whom I do a lot of work, and my sister Juanita and I, we all actually attended the same university, so we have a a deeper, long connection, and who would have thought we would have been even doing anything like this together. So life is wonderful. But what he's doing, this is Marley doing in this image, is reverting the ocean, who becomes for us the river deity of Mami Wata, of the river, back into the cosmos, or the heavens, or the skies, or the beyond, from whence she was sent by Oludumare, or by the creator, or the creative life-giving force, or the noon in the Kemetic tradition. So he puts her back into the cosmos, as did the image with the Pisces moon as well. They reverted those, the Oshun and the Imaya, back into the cosmos. Scott, you looking like you're wondering what I was saying there. There they are. Yeah, the Pisces moon. Yeah, so that's similar, back into the cosmos. And then we have another rendering here. And this is just to show you other impressions that we have. So we have photos from when we do the river rituals annually. So yeah, so this is one with Danny Thompson. We'll be doing readings, myself, Danny, and others, in another session on the 25th of April. And so we have some photographs of that river ritual that we did, this one in 2020. And Danny's also written a piece that's in the publication as well.
Sis, just so you're aware, Dudley is online now. So
okay.
Dudley, can you just say hello, just so that we can see if your mic is working? Oh no, we can't hear you still.
So annoying, so frustrating. I wonder if he can hear.
I've asked, no, I think he's on, okay, asked to unmute. Yeah.
Okay. It'll come.
Yeah, it should come eventually.
We'll just keep trying. And this is just, again, other contributors and other images from the publication. But we've reached this point. I know it's 10 past, Juanita, or it's gone past 10 past 3. But I wanted to bring this in to link it back to the whole point for me. I am simply not doing this because I have vainglorious desires to just go, look at the Mami Wata, it's so beautiful and it's so lovely and what have you. There is an overwhelming and underlying at the same time aspect to the whole this whole project for me, and it's about the planet. Mami Wata connects us to the planet, connects, and certainly from a Guyana perspective, connects us with the rainforest, connects us with all, Guyana is the land of many waters. That's what it's called, apparently. I mean, why is it called this? What is the significance of it? And so we need to, like Auntie Joyce was saying earlier, we do need to take responsibility of understanding that if we don't stop the abuse of nature, there's just no future that is worth really speaking about. And this bill, this came in my feed today, this morning. We have to stop irresponsible leaders like these who are only seeking to extract, as Scott's poem was talking about, the resources that they think will only give us some element of, or them elements of riches, but actually it doesn't better the lives of people, and certainly it doesn't do well for the environment. So if you can get to this petition, however way you can do that, you could look it up and just please sign it, and let's kind of be responsible. And so that brings me to Guyana. I mean, literally this morning when I look at this again, it brings tears to my eyes. Every time I see these kinds of pictures in Guyana, these are the good ones. These aren't like the ones where it's like a bed of plastics. Yeah. And I just think if we can stop and really think for a minute outside of this box that is KFC or whatever chicken and chips and whatever thing that we're eating, and really reverence nature and understand that we're not divorced from nature. We are an aspect and an impression of her, and we need to really honor that responsibility to her. So this is what I wanted you to see with this. This is actually when we were trying to get to Suriname, my niece and I, a few years ago, but further along, obviously, or further back into the coast, the seawall, which our ancestors, certainly as African, built, which our ancestors came into, and which is where a lot of us do rituals, and we need to be mindful of that, whether it's the East Indian element of Guyana, or whether it's the African element, or whoever go to that seawall, you need to not be putting your big dress or your big cloth into the river like this. It's just gonna just accept it because you've decided that that is an offering. So when we do our rituals to the water here, environmentalism is at the heart of that, and we make sure that people put only those things that we know are fully biodegradable. And obviously, I'm not going to read you my piece or any part of my piece. It's in the publication, just for the sake of time. But this is what, so I've got the introduction, I've compiled the publication, and I also have this piece, which I'd written some years ago, I think, when I came back, wasn't it? When I came back from Guyana.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah. So this, whilst people might read it and think it's like some kind of indictment on the president because he has a relationship, he has an extramarital relationship, that is far from my consideration. You know, my consideration is in this piece is that the president, as the leader of the country, has a responsibility again to the environment and to the environment. So he, in this case, his president has a secretary who is the goddess next door, effectively, yeah. But she doesn't really realize that. She doesn't know that she's a Mami Wata. But in one instance when she is, but she's a bit curious, and the president has to deal with her curiosity when he first meets her. And when she goes on this walk that she does, that many of us have done along the seawall, she gets the calling from Mami Wata. And Mami Wata takes her, or Wata Mama takes her beneath the sea into that subconscious realm, where when she comes, and so therefore she disappears from reality, from the president, and then there's this search for her. But when she returns with a different kind of message, a political impetus to her, whereas before she might just appear as this dolly bird that the secretary is having this thing with, that the president is having this thing with, but actually she is the manifestation of Mami Wata, who calls him or implores him to with the environment. Okay, so I'm feeling compelled to do the reading because I found it by a mystic when I was just thinking, no, I'm not going to read. And then I was sitting down before I came on and they just put one in front of me and I thought, and now it's just doing exactly the same thing. So I feel like I just have to do it. This bit is just very brief. The secretary's name is Sibel Ortega, and she was having this relationship with the president. So Sibel Ortega was tall, a few inches more than the president. She kept her hair in long, thick braids, always neatly tied back in one when she was at the office. She kept her figure trim and shapely by daily early morning walks along the seawall. She never jogged on the wall, for she had an anxiety of slipping and landing on one of the huge boulders of rocks that were used to build it centuries ago. She walked briskly from her apartment in Kingston past Lamahal Gardens, giving herself 2 hours to complete the ritual. She loved the quietness of the early morning and awaiting the sunrise, which she always paused to appreciate, inhaling the spark when it peaked above the horizon. One day, during one of her walks, she came to an abrupt stop. "If I plant you, you would grow?" The voice sounded familiar and close enough for her to swivel around to see if there was someone behind her. She saw no one. "Would you grow if I plant you, you would grow?" The voice repeated. She had not continued her steps and imagined her mid-walk suspension what it might look like to passers-by. So she made slow but heavy steps forward. He asked you what you want and you tell him nothing. Nothing, you sure? So that was her responding to what the president had asked her. Sibel allowed herself to think the voice was similar to her mother's. If it was, then she shouldn't worry. She was just having a moment. As she tried to take firmer steps, her legs stiffened. Not even to see we sacred water pure again and clean and plenty. She tried to respond, so clear and loud was the voice in her head, but stopped herself, remembering she was on the seawall. Not even to see the powerful Arapaima save and the little fish them grow in peace. Not even to hear the forest rejoicing and her riverbanks and creeks flow. If I plant you, would you grow? Stop it, stop, stop. Sybil yelled into the morning air, clutching her ears. I ask you if you would grow. This time the voice was deep, stern, terrifying. You want to grow? Who are you? Leave me alone. Come, come, child, come. The voice was calm. Its tones softened the way her mother's would when she was sorry for over-scolding her. Come, my child, the voice continued. I wish you no harm. I harm none. Come, come, come. Sybil turned towards the roaring waves of the Atlantic. Come, she heard the voice say again, and a rhythm developed between the waves and the voice to the extent that they no longer seemed separate, but one complete force. Thank you. Got through.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, I think we can pretty much end there. These are other things that I just had just in case. And actually this is a really brilliant clip for us to check up and see. And so I don't really want to take up much more of the time, Juanita, so we can have enough time for Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, let me just see if Dudley's got any if he can speak yet. Dudley, I can see you're there. I can see your video. I can't see Dudley though. I can see his ceiling. No, okay. If he's there, I'm sure he'll announce. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, then please do put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just having a quick look through some of the comments. And there's just one question I've seen here from Astrid Jones, and she just says, please, Scott, could you let me know? Scott, you may have already answered this, so I haven't seen further down, but please, Scott, could you let us know the name of the researcher researching the intersection of Buddhism and African traditional religions in Cuba? So I don't know, Scott, did you answer that? Or
yeah, I did.
You did, okay.
Yes, I did later down. Martin Ead's son, he did it.
Okay, Martin Ead?
Martin A. Sang.
Oh, okay.
T-S-A-N-G.
Okay.
Yeah. You might type it in generally, Scott, if you could, please, into the chat. Others might. Thank you.
That's
But is it possible? Could I ask Scott a personal question? His name is Tingaki, and I went to school with a girl called Laura Tingaki. Any connection?
You did? You did?
That sounds deep voice for you.
Laura Tingaki is supposed to be my oldest aunt on my father's side. My father passed away when I was a baby. So since that happened, and all of his family, migrated overseas by that time, I don't really have a connection with his side of the family. But I do know of Laura, and I know of her very fondly because my mother told me that, you know, she would constantly send letters and ask for photos of me all the different times when I was a baby with 2 months and 4 months and 6 months. And then eventually the letters stopped coming. When I was in sixth form, which is almost 10 years ago, I was snooping around the internet and I found a obituary that somebody posted online for Aunt Laura. She had migrated to Canada, I think. And the interesting thing as well is that I am currently a teacher at the Bishop's High School. And I know that my Aunt Laura went to that school because her name is on one of the plaques at the school as one of the best graduating students for her year. I think it was in 1945.
Must have been head girl.
It's right there. Yep. Yes. And I also found out as well that there was a period of time when my Aunt Laura was a history teacher at the Bishop's High School. So and now I'm there teaching the literature and the Cape literatures in English.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were contemporaries, yes.
Wonderful,
you.
wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. She was and very bright. She was and very bright in dramatics. We had a competition, and she put on the Pickwick Papers.
Auntie Joyce, you and Scott are going to have to connect offline and have a proper good chat about it.
Yeah, she was I think she was in the sixth form a year ahead. Sixth,
Yeah.
8. Yes. So we were not. She was slightly ahead of me, a form above me.
Wow.
I remember her saying Mrs. Allen put on the form competitions. And I didn't know anything. What is this Pickwick paper she's asking about? And I had to go to find Dickens to find out that this is what she wanted to do, a scene from the Pickwick Papers.
When I next come, Auntie, when it's possible, I will call so that you can have a video call with Scott. Would that be good? And then you could do it.
Yes, I could just tell him about Bishop's High School. I know the name thing, and he rang a bell. And I said, well, it's only one person, you know, it's such a, yes. And I know, I remember admiring her and seeing how bright. She was a former ahead of me. And I remember how bright she was and very friendly and this, in this quiet academic way that she had. I think and then I left school. She left before I did, so, but I knew her.
I know there's much more to that story, Auntie.
Oh, no, there's not all that.
No, there will be. I know you, Auntie Joyce.
I admired.
But can I just say as well, Scott, actually somebody contacted me, Alison Stull, and she said, oh, Tingaki, yes, I know the name. So she wants to be connected with you as well, just to explore family connections.
Alison, I've just seen Alison.
Alison Stull. Yeah.
So Alison is my baby.
Okay. Before we go on, I just want to bring in Doris Harper-Wills because Doris yes, Doris is here online, and we'd very much like to have Doris's contribution. I know, Doris, you had a few stories you wanted to be able to share about Mami Wata. You need to unmute. Oh,
mute.
You should see. There's a little microphone, a red microphone in the bottom, and if you just click on it, it'll take the it'll unmute you, but I don't think I can unmute you.
No, you can't. You could only ask her to unmute.
Yeah,
but she still has to do that herself.
Have you got anyone with you, Auntie Doris?
I thought Peter was there.
Yeah, she was earlier.
Peter is there.
You can sometimes press the space bar to unmute as well.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah, well, I've done that.
That's a good top tip there, because I didn't know that. Dudley, I'm looking at you and I'm just heartbroken that we can't contact.
Oh, somebody's come. I've tried to suggest to Dudley that if I could ring him, because he's obviously on the call.
Yeah,
I could have rung him on the messenger. I could have shared that screen.
Okay.
It's possible to do that, but I don't know whether he he's really trying because I can see him now.
Yeah,
I'm on.
well, let's go to Doris first, because Doris is now, I think, unmuted. So Doris, can you hear us? Can you speak back?
She's
Also,
frozen now.
is she frozen?
Frozen. Oh. Okay. Anyone has anything to say in the meantime until we get back?
Makeda? I can see Makeda at the bottom. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, the question that just came to me is for Empress Yaa. Do you feel as if Mami Wata has communicated with you since the book to let you know what she feels about it?
That's a really great question. And I think because that communicate, there doesn't feel like there's ever really a break from that. There's like a continuous flow of communication with Mami. Okay, let me find a tangible example. Yes. There are some things that just happen to you, like when you're doing this sort of stuff, that you just connect to spirit. And one of those was, I don't know whether it was the day I was going to do the launch or a day before the launch or whatever. But I remember walking along because I live not far from a river or a stream. And I remember walking along there.
Down on the bottom left hand.
Oh, I was accidentally muted. Or was I talking all the time? Muted?
No.
I literally just accidentally muted you.
And when I came back home after my little sojourn and stopping and looking and thinking about Mami Wata, I saw at the top of my gate post a key. A key that was rusted over, an old key, and I connected that with Mami Wata. I can't explain yet what it means, but I know that was an aspect of communication by Mami Wata, and loads and loads of other things, including people coming and, wanting to do things and sharing their stories and making connections with family and stuff. So those are little instances.
When you said it, I could feel this sort of very subtle chill. But when you said key, what came to me is that the book is going to be a key for a lot of people to embrace the world of Mami Wata, and on a larger context, to look at indigenous spiritual systems in a different way. And I think because the book is very gentle, it's not, it's very beautiful, and it's very gentle, and it has its own kind of seductive quality to bring people in, which I think is needed, because we're still in a situation where indigenous spiritual ideas are not given the respect. And you've presented this as if not in any way connected to people's stereotypes. It's much broader and much deeper. So thank you, darling. Thank you for all that.
Thank you. Dudley, can you hear us? Shh. I'm literally just trying to do osmosis. Yes, he can hear us. Yeah. Hear us. That's great. Yay. Dudley, okay, I want to go back so you can see, because you can hear us. It's just that we can't hear you, but we are feeling very honored that you are able to join us, and we continue to have you as part of the presentation, as part of the launch when we do that. So it's wonderful for me to be able to see you, and I believe you can see me. See you, Anita.
I just wanted to say as well, Dudley, I've been chasing you forever because we have publishers who are interested in your work, and I keep wanting to ask you if they'd be able to use your images and all that kind of thing, but I hadn't heard back, so I'm just dropping it now. You must let us know if you'd want to be put in contact with the publishers. But
and also, Dudley, I still got your copy of the book because you never got back to me about the address. So you need to email me because I've sent you emails about your address so I can post your copy of the book. Please, Joe. Thank you.
And then just one other thing as well, Dudley, you know, we were trying to get you on Guyana Speaks in January and then February, and so if you can do Guyana Speaks in May, that would be fantastic. And we'll try and sort out your voice, the audio issue. Somebody here is actually saying that if you disconnect and turn off your Bluetooth, I don't know if your Bluetooth is on, but if you come in again, apparently you'd be able to hear. But I don't know, so I'll leave that with you. Meantime, Peter, are you there with your mum? Can we get you to unmute Doris so that we can hear her?
Don't go far away.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, let's hurry up because I keep losing things.
Go for it. Go for it.
Thank you.
We can hear.
Thank you, Yaa. Hi, Yaa. That's how I greet Michelle. I always say, hi, Yaa. Thank you. Congratulations. I enjoyed the program. I'm so privileged and honored to be here and to be allowed to speak. I want to say before I talk too much that Mama Mimi, Mami Wata, is here with me in London. She traveled from Agricola village when I was 4 to Georgetown to Barbados. And she's here with me in London. Look, there's Ocean, goddess of the rivers and seas. This is a modern day ocean by my daughter, Leslie. Our entire family believe in Mami Wata, Water Mama. I'd like to say that the first time I met or heard about a water spirit was in Agricola village. I was Eurocentric. I knew everything about the land of Counterpane and Gulliver's Travels. I met Jan Carew and his mom then. They used to come to our house and he was Gulliver's Travels. And all I could remember about Water Mama is when we went out to the river, the trench in front of our house, we used to say, alligator mama, alligator mama, And I used to say, but where is she? I haven't seen her. Why you chanting somebody who doesn't exist? In a trench full of water lilies, because to get to our house in the back street, we had to walk over a trench. We used to pause halfway across the bridge and chant this alligator mama. You say, alligator mama, I never saw her. And my sister used to say, she just drops into this trench and then she flows back to the old Eccles Dutch coca. And I would say, the Eccles Old Dutch coca, Jumbie Leffy Pipia, no canoka. So I was always full of chants. You remember that one?
Yes.
Jumbie Leffy Pipia, no canoka. And from the Eccles Old Dutch coca, when they opened it, she would float right down into the Demerara River. When we went to live in Georgetown, that is when I was training to get scholarship to go to BHS. I heard about her again. I heard that she used to turn up in the shops in a long dress and she would slyly drop a comb, and any man who picked up that comb, lo and behold, he would be caught by her. She would lure him into the Atlantic Ocean. So when on Sunday afternoons, we rode our bicycles and went by the Atlantic Ocean, I saw shadows because I was very imaginative. Or maybe, as I can't remember the name of the person who talked about shadows in the forest. I saw those shadows. And so when I went to Bishop's, I wrote Villanelle, a French form. I was far too Eurocentric. At sunset, when the sunbeams die, Guyana nymphs go tripping by. And then I improved it. Guyaniads go tripping by. And I got even bolder. Guyanariids go tripping by. Now, guess what? At the Commonwealth Institute, years later, the School for the Deaf, they loved that poem, Villanelle, and they became Water Mama. And there was one girl who was so obsessed with being Water Mama. I think she was possessed. It was awesome the way she reenacted Water Mama, all to the poem, which was written in standard English at sunset when the sunbeams die. Guyanariids go tripping by. Some of them actually went to crimp their hair so they could be a Eurocentric Water Mama. Well, that's not the end of Mama Mimi in London. I call her Mama Mimi because there was a pork knocker who came to my house and he said that Water Mama, Mami Wata, was called Mama Mimi. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Mama Mimi? She was called Mama Mimi.
No, it sounds like a Dutch name though as well, but no.
Anyway, he said she was known as Mama Mimi, and that where he worked in the forest also walked, like when fishes flew and forests walked. So he said, yes, forests do walk, and Mama Mimi does exist. Well, that's Guyana. When I went to Barbados, Carl Broodhagen did a sculpture for me, which is a beautiful sculpture, and I wish I could have shown it. And he called me Nefertiti by the sea. So when I was walking in Guyana one day, Nefertiti came to me and I wrote a beautiful song called Hymn to the Sea. And that song is so beautiful. I hope one day I have the opportunity to share some of my poems and songs with you. But my family, Leslie, my daughter, she's obsessed as well with Yumajaw. I have danced Yumajaw with Sheila Baba in London, in Covent Garden. Have you heard of him? Sheila Baba, the Brazilian group. I have recited Yumajaw, and this is, can you see this?
Yes.
Can you see it? This is one of my mermaids, among many. I haven't read what I wrote. I'm just speaking ad lib. So I think about Water Mama. I don't call her Mami Wata. I call her Mama de Lo as well, because I had a girlfriend. We shared the dormitory in not Laban, the college I went to. We shared the dorm together, and she grudgingly told me a story about Water Mama, because most of us have a contempt for our own local stories. She dismissed it in 2 sentences. Oh yes, we got a story about a girl who used to fetch water, and when she went down to the river, a fish come, and the fish sing a song to she, and then she followed the fish in the river, and guess what? She never came back. She dismissed it in about 4 sentences. And those 4 sentences became a very successful story for me. I set it to music. It was published by the BBC and it's still read in schools today. BBC Radio 4 booklet. And I got Keith Waith and Ram John Holder to come with me to the BBC recording. And to this day, the boys love that story because they all know it was a prince, an African prince that was thrown overboard during the Middle Passage, and he was transmuted by Olokone and Yumajaw And that is how the first mermaid came to the Caribbean. Mama de Lou, the mother of the waters. And this is how the song went. La 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 li li la 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 li li la 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 li li la. Everybody, all the parents did the waves of the ocean. We did low tide and we did high tide. They all did it. But the person who was proud was the boy who was chosen to be the prince, who came as a little red fish to see Juice, this little girl on a French island, I think it was Guadeloupe, lure her into the river, and she became Mama de Lou, the mother of all the mermaids. She became Wata Mama. And this is what I would like to share with you. And you can find it, I think, on the internet. I don't know. I'm not very good at keeping up. My daughter does, Leslie. She keeps up with my work on the internet.
Thank you.
So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Thank you.
Experiences of
Thank
Wata
you.
Mama.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Legendary you
Juanita.
and your stories. Thank you so much. And thank you for making the link with the Middle Passage, which I didn't get to also say. Clearly that was another, or that is another important aspect of the Wata Mama for many of us as Africans who were transported across.
But Yuma Jaw, she built a pathway for the innocence, and that is in one of my stories. I hope one day I get published and noticed. She built up the pathway of the innocence.
Yes.
And Mama de Lou helps to transmute those slaves who were thrown overboard.
Which is the link I'm trying to make for the people who don't know that aspect of why we continue to have this in that indigenous tradition, and that link with Yumanja, Umoja, all of them are the same name, Oshun, is because for us, when we were coming or being forcibly removed from Africa, she indeed was creating for us that passageway so that we can, some of us literally jump over and be reunited with her, and some of us to know that it will be relatively as okay as it can be. She will be there protecting us if we go and honor her and reverence her by continuing to acknowledge our indigenous practices. So that's why we make the links. And of course, it was easy for us as Africans to make these links when we went to Guyana, because Guyana had so many water areas. So thank you so much, Doris, for your brilliant contribution.
Well, I hope one day I can recite my Yuma Jaw poem and my auto Wata Mama.
Auntie Doris, you know, next month we are doing the art of storytelling. So if you want to be on that panel, you're very welcome. We'd love you to have you.
Very much indeed, because I'm getting terrified. I'm going to be 90 now, and I don't want anybody to call me auntie.
Oh dear. Okay.
Well, that's a problem for a lot of us, because we want to reverence you and call you. We will call you Miss Doris if you prefer. We'll call you Miss Doris.
Just call me Doris.
Yeah, but 90, being 90 is a real privilege. I know that.
Thank you so much.
Busted
so much for letting me share. But I would look forward to doing some of my Wata Mama songs. You know, people say I'm an escapist, but I don't think speaking about Wata Mama is escapism.
Thank you, Miss Doris. Is anyone else have anything to say?
Jennifer had her hand up. So
and Faye.
I don't know if Jennifer still wants to talk, but I can see she had her hand up a while back. Jennifer, if you're there, on mute, ask a question. Otherwise,
Alison.
What can I say? I can just want to ask Michelle a quick question. Would you connect the Wata Mama with the rainforest?
Very much so. That's what I was attempting to do when I started at the beginning, when I was showing us going into that version of the interior anyway. But and when in my own piece, I talk about the Arapaima and just generally the whole of it is the totality manifest of creation. But in this element is the water element. In other elements, it would be to do with, you know, with the earth, which is what we see even when we have the mangroves and that sculpture.
Yes, that was beautiful.
To do with the, you know, with the earth, you know, that earth element. And then we'll have fire, or we'll have air, or we'll have wind versions. But all of it are manifestations and expressions of the totality of creation, as we are an aspect of and an element of as well. So if we think about ourselves as you know, the breath that we have, which is air, you know, the, you know, our body, you know, as earth, you know, we have water, which we are composed of. All of these are just expressions of, as I said, the totality of creation. And Mami Wata, being primal, being primordial, being Nun and Nu, is that force that compels us ultimately. So yeah, of course it connects then back to aspects of her, which is found in the rainforest, which is the rainforest.
Yeah, because I'm really fond of trees. I'm passionate about trees.
Yeah.
Could I
Lots of hands up.
Auntie Joyce, can we come back to you 1 second? I just wanted to bring
everybody has to have a yeah, go ahead.
We'll come back in 1 second. So Kamal,
My turn, yes.
You had your hand up.
Yeah, you see, when I was told that story, it seemed to me as if this woman was dismissed to go below the ocean. Not somebody to be revered or to be respected. And I'm wondering how we can make this business of not dismissing her, that her relation with bailing out the ocean would be saying to us in this 20th century, when we are polluting it, that we ought to be cleaning it up now. If you see what I mean, that if we, she seemed to have been, in that story, she seemed to have been dismissed as this silly woman wanting her money, and you chase her and say, go below the ocean to get rid of her, which is not really what we should get out of it. Now that I've had the privilege and the blessing of seeing it in its true light. And this business of this water mama with the ocean in this 20th century, when, as my friend, and it came out of it, when my son Urani said, but she needed pure water. How could we make our ocean pure now so that she can continue to be in this water for us?
Thank you, Auntie. I suppose, yeah, that is that link and connects back to phase posing, Auntie.
Pulled me up to say that this was not being a silly woman wanting to get rid of her.
No, definitely.
The more important thing is that she is in this ocean, and we are polluting it now. And I always say, I was really thinking that, but Urani kept saying, but she needed pure water. You know, if you could hear her, this nice Plaisance accent, pure water, and it got to be black and pure, and we are polluting it now. And
absolutely,
so,
Auntie.
Now for her.
Auntie, yes, we absolutely hear what you're saying, and we're all on that same page of understanding. At least we have made it clear in the collective of us that are here that at the end of the day, this is not just myth.
No.
This is not just story.
No.
Yes, this has a tangible reality that is linked to the environment in any which way, shape, or form. Whether
having come from a country, Guyana means land of many waters.
That's right, Auntie. That's exactly what we have been saying. So we're clear. So let's, Auntie, let us Auntie, let's get some others.
Dudley, we're hearing you.
Let's get some others, Auntie. I'm just going to put you on mute a minute.
Yeah, we're hearing Dudley. Dudley,
Yes.
I heard your voice.
You heard my voice?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Water Mama wants you to speak.
Yeah, because I was thinking about the story too. I listened to this. Yes, yes.
Talk to us about your painting, because I know Michelle selected your painting in the book, and I think Michelle's probably trying to bring it up now. But tell us a little bit about the painting that you contributed. So you'll see it in a moment. Deep water spirit. This painting here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1986, I met this young lady, the late Lakshmi Kalicharan, you know, and she became my very, very close friend.
Yeah.
So every ceremony, you know, that she would took me, it doesn't matter where or what it was, you know, she would come and collect me and we would go for this ceremony and I would go and sit among, you know, the Indian folks, right? And one night, as a matter of fact, she would even come sometime and take me to the seawall in Guyana, you know, and she would drive around and we would look at the sea, right? Prior to that, in Plaisance, I always been told by my parents that when you go to the seawall or when you go to the seashore, anytime, if you go there very early in the morning, you would see this mermaid and the woman would be combing her hair, right? And if you could go unexpectedly and you catch her off guard, she would drop this golden comb and you would be rich when you find that comb, you know? So when all the stories would come back a little bit further now with Lakshmi culture, you know. So I went all to the seawall every single time, you know, she would come and pick me up early in the morning and she would just drive around there, not knowing fully well that what I was thinking, right? So one day I came home from work. As a matter of fact, I leave at around midday and I came home and I went straight to bed, you know, just take a midday nap. And in my nap, I found there was a person, I could feel this presence, this very, very strong presence, you know, of this person. And they, to me, like I could recognize the kind of clothing that they were wearing also too. Like it was a black, not cotton, a black kind of like silk, you know, clothes that they were wearing. And this person was trying to caress me, you know. And this was around around midday time. You know, I felt very. It seemed as though like I was awake, right? Like I wasn't sleeping, like it was a vision. But I know I was taking a nap, right? And I jumped out of my bed and I jumped out and I ran, opened the door and I went looking. I says, "Is which woman had come to me who have my keys and could come in my house?" And I, you know, right? Not knowing that all my visited, you know, to this seawall and all this thing, I was being, I mean, attracted to the spirit of the sea, right? So in 1986, now I decided to do this painting around the same time. I did this painting I was working on called Deep River Spirit. And in Deep River Spirit, I tried to put all the visions and everything that these feelings that I had, the feeling that I had during the period of time that I was going through, you know, in connection with this spirit, the Deep River Spirit, this river spirit. And prior to that, in 1977, I was in Nigeria at Festac. And at the opening of the festival, there was the Brazilian group came up, and my liaison girl, I mean officer, personnel, you know, when the Brazilian people were performing on the stage, right? She said it to me. She said, "You know what? They are doing something that what we normally would do in Nigeria," because she was a Yoruba person. She says, "You know what? They're honoring this this Mami Wata goddess. I said, what is this? You know? Well, I mean, she was just talking, right? And I was just listening. But as far as I'm concerned, during that time, I was thinking about the mermaid of the sea, right? And as you know, because we grew up in that era, in the mermaid and the fishermen and the all these sort of people call it myth, but these things are real. The spirit are real. This Guatemala spirit is a real spirit, you know, it's a real spirit. Not because something is real, not because you cannot see something, that does not mean that it is not real. I mean, we can't see the wind, but we know the wind is real, you know? We could feel it.
Yeah.
Same way with the spirit, you know? So that once you find yourself or you've been attracted in a certain way, you know, it's just being curious about anything. I mean, that is far as I'm concerned. I mean, I like to find out things. Yeah. I like to see things visually and spiritually. Visually is that when what I feel and what I see, I could at times able to put it to the canvas or make a drawing of it. Yeah. Yeah. And this deeper spirit, you know, that is what was happening to me at the time when I did this painting here. Everything that's going, because you look at the center of the work and then you can see like there's a opening, like like the spirit is coming out of the water, right? Yeah, yeah. And Philip Moore in the other, he has a work. Philip Moore, it is called Water Mama. It's a sculpture, right? And all that information that I've gathered from Philip Moore work and personal feelings, I try to put in this work, you know, into this particular work. But prior to that, I did a painting called Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Water Mama, right? I think I would send Spencer Richards had bought that painting for me, you know, since 1984, right? But this painting, this is more abstract.
Thank you, Dudley. I'd love to see that one as well. I didn't realize that Philip Moore had, but I would know, because I know a lot of the artists do something around, obviously we know Philip Moore is like mega spiritualist anyway, but so he
Oh, yeah.
And he was a Jordanite, so we know that he will have certainly been honoring Water Mama. I just never clapped eyes on it, so that would be really good.
Yeah.
Dudley, can I ask you a quick question? Are the Deep Water Spirit and River Spirit part of a series?
I did quite a few works, and yeah, but you can say yes, a series. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Sis, I don't know if you are ready to round up. It's kind of just gone past 4, so
yeah,
I'm about rounding up.
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready to do that. I was just trying to get to the last slide, which is just a thank you, but also to remind that, and I'm trying not to play this, but
Dudley, I'm going to phone you, by the way. As soon as this session finishes, I'm on the phone to you.
Okay, good, okay. Yeah, because I'm on WhatsApp. Yeah,
I'm going to try to stop this share a minute, but just to say
global
that, yeah, this is what happens when you do the YouTube thing. Okay, yeah. To say that we will be doing a reading on the 25th of where is it? Which is here. Yeah, so so you're invited to this, which will be more the readings as well from other people. Because when we did the launch, there were some people, especially those two youngsters who had come on, and they were calling in from Guadeloupe and they weren't able to read because it was just like a full lineup. So we're going to be doing this session. And of course, the whole point of this, as well as just to celebrate, is to encourage you to buy the book, which we haven't even yet mentioned. So you can go to the website, waywithwords.com/new release. And wherever you are, what we'll do is you need to just email us to find out what the postage is if you're, say, in the USA, and then I'll get back to you to let you know how much that postage will be, because obviously Amazon can, sell our books for us, but we're independent and we are trying to make sure that we recover as much of the production of the book as we can for ourselves, rather than allowing these big corporations to have their hand on our work like this.
That's right.
If you do want the book, or if you know that somebody else might appreciate the book, buy them, because we need to, because everything that you've been listening to, whether Auntie Joyce was stressing the point of the environmentalism, and we really need to be cognizant of that as we at the same time celebrate these traditions. As Dudley was saying, that it's not just about the myths, which it obviously is part, but remember that myths are the way we tell our stories and tell our realities, whether that reality is tangible or whether that reality is intangible and visible. And myths also enable us to transform ourselves and transform our societies. So I encourage you to buy the book and celebrate Mami Wata. And if you're feeling callings, the calling is real, and honor that, because that is ultimately you. That is ultimately something that is innate. It's not, you can't literally run from the essence of your beingness. And with that, I'll stop sharing, and yeah, we're back to the whole. Thank you for joining us. You're muted, Juanita.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, just thank you so much to you, Michelle, because this has been such a rich and wonderful event. So, and I can see everybody's really enjoyed all the readings. So we're really appreciative to you. And also thank you for the opportunity to get my a couple of poems published in Search of Mami Wata. So I'm happy about that.
Thank you.
Also, the book's just amazing, particularly if I could just do a shout out about the images in this. I don't know if you but the whole book is full of the most, let me try and find some of the images, but these incredible images in the book are really beautiful. So I highly recommend it to everyone. And then just on a final note, just to say for next month, just a reminder, what are we doing, Rod? Remind me. Come and say hello to everybody. Rod's always hiding in the background.
Oh. We know he's there.
Doing all the hard
Hello,
work.
mothers.
Say hello.
Hello, Rod.
Hi, Rod.
Hello.
Good to see. Can I also shout out before we do that as well? Hello, Rod. But
Hello.
Ive Law is also here.
Yay!
Hello, Ive Law.
Everybody's here.
Everybody's here, yeah.
And the reason why I mentioned that is because that little clip where you see me going along on the Pomeroon was part of the Diaspora Engagement Conference, which Professor Ive Law arranged when he was Vice Chancellor at university. And an aspect of that was for us to go and see the interior, go and see the Guyana. That was all part of Ive Law's, missive, his vision for us to not only be diasporics that just come and we're in the town or whatever, but we really needed to know our Guyana. And so I was doing stuff and I had seen stuff, but I'd never gone to the other side, never gone to the Pomeroon. So trip was part of it. So thank you. And thank you for joining us, as everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. It's so wonderful to see everyone. And I know everybody enjoyed seeing Ms. Doris. I mustn't call her auntie, but everybody did enjoy seeing her. And so Rod and I will also be on the phone to Doris to see if she'll join for next month, because we're doing a program on the art of oral storytelling. So please do join us for next month. And then if Dudley agrees, I'd like Dudley to join us in May. So we should have a rich few programs going forward, and just really appreciate all your support. Thank you to everyone. Maggie, I can see Maggie, Makeda, everyone. Maggie, it's so wonderful to see you all.
Paulette, thank you.
Bye.
Everyone, Sandra, Aaron, Gordon, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, Scott and Liz. I don't know what happened to you.
Liz disappeared.
Okay, brilliant.
I answered on behalf of Liz, you know, Michelle.
Say that again.
I thought that was a call out to everyone who's weren't live, to just let you all know that they were here, and I didn't realize it was Liz, so it was me. I was originally Miss P, so forgive me. Yeah. I thought that was a call out to everyone.
Oh, I see.
Oh, bless.
Hello,
confession, eh?
Yeah.
Good for the song, apparently.
You know, girl. Yeah. God, I like your shirt, boy.
Thank you.
Yeah, you like the shirt. Look, check the shirt. I only got it from the other day.
It's nice.
Good girl. Yeah, man.
Very nice.
We have our wedding anniversary coming up soon. It was an early present.
Congratulations. Thank you, Auntie Joyce, as well.
Auntie Joyce, the boss.
That's right.
The boss.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you so much, Doris.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Dudley. So wonderful that we were able to connect.
Thank you, Michelle. Excellent presentation. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And good
Oh, by the way, I went to see Auntie Faye yesterday.
Pardon?
Some nice roti from she. Auntie Faye.
Okay, good. Lovely.
How's your kitchen, buddies?
Where is she based now?
Elephant and Castle.
Oh, she's still there, but inside.
A new place. A lovely new place.
It's near the main Elephant and Castle station.
All right, great.
I actually have to tell you all, now that you've mentioned that, we're trying to plan something where we're going to have Auntie Faye on Zoom giving us a cookery lesson of one of her Guyanese delights.
Brilliant.
We can all watch along and see, like, for some of us who've forgotten or just don't know.
You know.
And who is this Auntie Faye? I don't know anybody else with my name.
Her name is with an E at the end.
Her name has an E at the end.
Oh, mine's just F-A-Y, yeah.
The best food going.
Okay.
Yeah. She's got a shop in a little restaurant in Elephant and Castle that's just very near the tube station. And Rod goes there once a week to go and collect his souse and his black pudding. And then he gets Chana for me.
Write that down.
So yeah, it's always very nice. But yeah, so
Rod, can you share her number actually? Because I think I might have misplaced the one that I had. So if you share,
yeah, we'll share it. Kaicho Kitchen.
Yeah, I'll share it on Guyana Speaks, because honestly, if you all get a chance or you want some Guyanese food that's just like your mother made it,
that's the place.
I'm so jealous. I'm in Atlanta. There's nothing.
Oh my God!
Oh, no.
Who's
there must be something. There must be something in Atlanta. I don't believe that at all.
I'm so jealous, and my mother never taught me to cook.
Oh no!
And then I went and married a white man.
Oh no! I mean, no, but
oh my God! What have we started here?
Well, we'll definitely have to let you know when Auntie Faye is on doing a cookery program.
I'm coming to London just to meet you, Michelle, Juanita.
Yeah, you do that.
I'm coming to London.
You've got to get yourself to New York.
Oh,
get yourself to New York.
Oh,
New York.
Not going
Brooklyn.
Sandra, are you in New York?
Yeah. No, I'm not. But most of the Guyanese people are in Brooklyn.
Hi, John. Hey, John.
My family are.
Hey, John.
I know. I know.
Hey, Joan.
Can I just pause a second? Auntie Joan is online. Auntie Joan actually is one of my favorite cooks as well, I have to say. So
I bet you can't get mitai at Faye.
Yeah, that's right. No.
Nobody
Now
can
look what
cook
you
mitai
started.
like you. Nobody can cook mitai like you at all.
Oh dear.
Oh, I know.
Auntie Joan, would you be able to teach us to do mitai? You know what we could do? When lockdown finishes, if we get a chance, maybe we could come and visit you and record you showing us how to make mitai.
When I get my new cooker.
When you get your new cooker, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And of course, we've also got the classic as well. Who do?
I was just thinking about that, Miss Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Tafawa's here, I know.
Oh, well,
Mr.
yes.
Tafawa, where are you?
Of course, we normally are at Tafawa's having delicious Guyanese food. But
You know
Guyana
what I'm
Speaks there as
saying?
well.
So big up for the classic as well. We must
Yeah,
forget the classic. Thank you, Tafawa.
I know we so miss the classic. I'm just like,
Oh,
it's so
so
hard.
miss the classic.
Yeah,
So
not
miss
seeing
it.
everyone.
I miss the dances. I miss the Guyanese dances.
You know.
Muted. You just have to unmute.
Greer there.
Oh, hi, Greer.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Yes.
Good.
Go on, Sanj.
Can I just ask, does anybody know the word duff?
Of course.
Duff,
Yes, all Guyanese know that.
I know. Only Guyanese. My mum used to make the best duff. I don't know how to do it.
Oh.
So please, that is what I need to know.
I
Every
think
time I
everyone
talk to
says
other
that.
people, is
Kitchen
it just
will
a
show you.
Guyanese thing, duff?
Yes.
Is it just Guyanese?
I tell you
Because
what,
my Jamaican friends don't know it.
It's dumplings.
I know it's dumplings.
I have the duff for the cook-up rice.
Duff is too different.
The dumplings.
but so, okay, so you know what we should do?
Please.
Who wants to be on today's cookery program?
Yes.
Text me which dish you most would like to see cooked. And whichever I get the most requests for, that is the dish that we'll ask her to cook. So, so you are. I hope you know my number or my email. But then let
Yeah,
us
I
know.
make that, Auntie Joyce.
Yeah, we'll see.
Duff is for the message.
Duff and the metagy.
Does anyone know this?
And you put a piece of salt beef in the duff and you fold it.
Oh, now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Right. Does anyone know?
Jason, you look like you know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, because Cousin Maud used to put a piece of salt beef in the duff and fold it over. So when you get your duff, you open it to get this piece of salt beef out of the duff.
Yeah. I can see that, like the Chinese have that dumpling, Auntie.
Yeah.
The Chinese have the
for
dumpling.
soup. The dumpling, the little drop for soup. They got the soup, the altogether soup, the cutty soup. Oh, cutty.
Does anybody remember this? It's a little song. Coconut rice, coconut rice, coconut rice is very nice. A pound of salt beef and a half whole crow. I eat them so till I call for more.
That's right. We used to sing that.
I don't.
I
but
think some people should remember that.
I definitely don't remember that one.
Is
that Shine Rice? Shine Rice.
We're recording right now, so you know.
It sounds like Shine Rice.
There you go, Faye. You're gonna be on YouTube now.
There's also a song about duff and plantain. We're two good companions. Does
Oh
anyone
yes, I remember that.
Duff and plantain.
Oh, it's
Duff and plantain, yeah.
It's been many moons for me. I've been away for 55 years.
Oh my goodness. Shanta, don't you want to go back and just visit?
Yes. Yes.
I think it has to
I
be
think I can
done.
touch with Stacy.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you don't know as many people in Guyana now. You know, you knew them all, the gone or the gone.
Yeah, but you know all of us now.
To get in touch with Stacy.
So one of us is bound to be going back to Guyana at some. Well, we're not going back this year because we don't think it's likely, but maybe next year. We hope next year. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
COVID allowing.
COVID allowing, we hope
Yes,
to go, visit next year. So
Bye-bye, and thanks a lot for a lovely Sunday afternoon.
Thank you, Auntie Joyce, so much for joining us.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thoroughly enjoyable afternoon.
Thank you.
Hi,
See you
Sister
next
Greer.
month.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Greer.
Bye.